barking in the background. I'm just like, yay.
All right.
Really?
Elise and Amanda give some feedback to Christine, and Alex and I will double team Lauren.
Okay.
Goals.
I guess include more ASL.
Great. That's a good goal for you. Sorry.
Thank God she said that.
What happened?
Lauren,
Right sarcastic. I love it. Are you okay to do establish your own goals too?
I
That's a great goal. That's what I meant.
It's okay. We're all on the same page.
Good. All right. Ready?
Yes, ready as I'll ever be.
All right, let's go.
Okay, my last presentation is going to be on deaf-blind. And I'm just going to throw a question out there, aside from the two interpreters here. Any of you in Angie's special population class? Okay, so this is good. So the majority don't really have a lot of information on deaf-blind. The reason I'm going to discuss about deaf-blind is because it's some volunteer work that I do that I never thought I would enjoy. And as I've gotten more involved in the deaf-blind community, I'm finding it something that I really enjoy, especially related to interpreting, because your interpreting is to be kept on such a simple matter and a simple process. So for myself, I enjoy that because I feel it's a very safe environment, and there is so much that one can learn from working with deaf-blind. I was introduced to deaf-blind several years ago. They had offered a deaf-blind class here, and it was taught by two women that are both deaf-blind, and they both have what is called Usher syndrome. And so that you know, the type of blindness is not, you're just not blind where you can't see anything. There are degrees of blindness, the same as there are degrees of hearing. So when you, within the deaf-blind community, you can have people that have low vision, that have Usher syndrome 1 or 2, or they have what is called retinitis pigmentosa. All of these are variations of sight, which means that there's a sort of what is called a tunnel vision, where you can just see right in front of you several feet. It is as though there's a small window box kind of right in front of your face. So you do have to adjust your signing style as well as the clothing that you wear. The color red is definitely verboten. You cannot use the color red at all. And you should have your arms covered and your neck covered, and not a lot of patterns or anything, because it's very, very distracting for that person to see when you're signing. Some prefer tactile signing, which means you have your hand underneath that client's hand. Some prefer writing in a palm. Some prefer finger spelling only. Some clients prefer to voice for themselves. So there are many degrees that one can practice their interpreting skills. 2 summers ago, I went to a deaf-blind retreat, and that was a 4 to 5 day retreat in Jacksonville, Illinois. And I was assigned 3 clients, and I worked as an SSP, which is basically you do a little bit of interpreting, and you're a support service provider, and you also help guide that client to different places. They may have to go for conferences or meetings, or you accompany them, you show them where the bathroom is, or you will show them, take them to the cafeteria if they need to eat. You don't do anything for them as far as putting their food on their plate or whatever. That client is allowed to make up his own mind and do whatever he chooses. You are simply a guide or an assistant. And you will explain the room to them, the room size. You will explain the food, where it's at. When they have their food on a plate, it's always put in kind of a clockwise manner, and that person knows that. So those are some of the things that you do. My experience at the retreat was really amazing because I had 3 different clients throughout the day. I had one in the morning, one in the afternoon, and one in the evening. And one of my particular memories that stands out was a young client I had, and they had decided to go on an outing swimming. And I panicked and I thought, oh my gosh, how am I going to work with this client in a swimming pool? Plus I had to put a bathing suit on. So we get into the pool, and my client, I explained the size in the room and where the edge of the pool was and how deep it was and everything, and she dove in this water and my client was a fish, and thank goodness I'm a strong swimmer. And as she's heading to the edge of the pool, I'm trying to guide her, telling her, here's the edge, don't crash, but she was fine. I was probably worse than she was. And as soon as I relaxed and gave her her space and told her the parameters of the pool and whatnot, it was fine. It was a great experience. After that, they would have dances, and we had contests. We actually had a mini Olympics where they would take a rope and stretch it from one end of the room to the other, and then there was sort of like a handle on the rope, so your client would hold that and run along the rope for a guide, and if they chose to have you run with them, they would just put their hand on your shoulder and you would run with them. So I had gotten a lot of exercise at this particular retreat. Now I do some volunteering at the Chicago Lighthouse for the deafblind, and they actually have their monthly meeting there. It's called Lakota, and it's for deafblind adults of all different degrees of deafness or blindness. There are some people that are not sighted, but they can hear, and they run this club on their own. They start early because you can imagine to set this up and match interpreters and SSPs with their clients takes quite a little bit of time to get everybody situated. And then they will have someone from their conference speak or give a report. It might be an hour or so, and then they break for lunch. You're fed. I believe they have a meeting this Saturday, and they're going to have different types of pot pies and things like that. So,
Yum.
yes, and then after the meeting is over, they sometimes have some vendors there selling different products. Everyone brings a dessert to share. And the conference ends around 3 o'clock or so. Now, since I have been involved with this, I have now been asked to get there earlier to help pick people up at the train station. And there is one fear that I have is one woman, she's an elderly woman in a wheelchair, and I'm always afraid that I'm going to get stuck on the train with her when I drop her off at the end of the day. So, but for the most part, it's been a wonderful experience. I never thought that I would enjoy working with deafblind people in this manner, but I do. And if you get a chance to volunteer, they are so welcoming for volunteers of any levels. They will match you with anyone you feel comfortable with. If you want to just come and watch and observe, that would be great as well. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Judy.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it.
Oh, Betty.